Hello and welcome to the Haycraft event. I'm Julie Massey and I'm going to be showing you a couple of techniques today, how to use clay to make a couple of simple pots, or some of these items that I've got here. These are all pieces that have been made using coiling or thumb pot methods. And these are from projects that I've done with children in schools and some adults as well. So this one here is used making the coiling method. So you can see the coils of clay in here. This one is basically two pots put together. So if you can imagine one pot on one end and one pot on another, and then it's a hollow structure, and because it's hollow it has a little hole here to let the air out, otherwise it would explode in the kiln. This little fellow here, this monster's head, is basically a pot, and it's turned on its side, and then features have been added such as the eyes, the tongue and the teeth to make it into a monster. This flower pot started out as a coil pot, and it's been bits have been added to it to make it look like a flower. And this fish is basically again two pots stuck together, joined here, and then lots of decorative features have been added on the outside, and again there's a hole in the pot, which is the fish's mouth blowing bubbles to let the air out. You can't create solid lumps of clay. Everything has to be hollow. You can only make something that's up to about 2 centimetres thick, and I wouldn't go thinner than 1 centimetre with this clay that you have in your packs, because it will either end up exploding, cracking badly, or if it's too thin it will probably disintegrate. Just a note for anybody adding features: if you're going to add some features like these teeth and the eyes, don't make anything too thin. Again, that could get knocked when it's completely dry and be broken. So I'm going to take these out of the way now. And I'm going to chat about what resources you need to be able to take part in this event. So I've got a tea towel to work on. It is going to be mucky, but it's all washable. And then everything I've got here, all these tools I've got are tools that I've found around the kitchen. So I've got a fish scaler, and I've chosen this because it's got some lovely mark making bits on it. I've got a lemon squeezer. Again, I've chosen this for its mark making qualities. I've got a knife. I haven't got a very sharp knife because I don't want it to be dangerous, and I can use that if I need to do any cutting, joining. And I've got a fork. Again, I can use this to help me join, and I can use it for making marks. And I've got a small whisk. I can use this for making marks. Okay. I'm just, if anybody writes comments, I'm going to read them out or just respond. I'm not going to do any typing because I will get my computer really dirty. So, hi Julie, Nina and Noah ready to play. Thanks for the packs, that's great. So here are the packs that you've got. So this is exactly what you've either got from your school or picked up. And inside your pack you've got some written information and your bit of clay. Okay, on your written information here are some instructions, and it just tells you about all the tools you can use that I've just gone through. It's got links to my website where it's got more information on there. And if you want your work fired, it's going to be £5, and it tells you when to return the clay to me, and that's by next Saturday. There'll be a big box outside my house, and the address is here, that you can put your pottery in. Can you make sure you name this box, write your name on it, write the name underneath your clay, and make your back payment reference with the name that you've put on your clay. And you must return it to me next Saturday by 6 p.m, and then I'll return the clay once it's fired the following Saturday, and it will be in the box with your name on it that you originally put it in. So there's lots of information on there. Okay, and then this is what you've got. So you've got a pack of clay that's been wrapped in plastic to stop it drying out. Okay, and I think I'm going to make a monster. I'm going to make a monster today because I'm going to show you how to make a pot, and then I'm going to turn it into this, and that will help explain some of the joining techniques that you can use. So what I would start doing is, with your clay, first of all, you need to make sure it's not too wet and soggy, and you need to make sure you can get all the air out of it. Okay, so just wedge it a little bit like this, pressing down, and that will make sure the air. Now that's not too bad, so I'm going to take off about a third and put it to one side. I'm going to split this into two again. Okay, so I'm going to start off making the pot for the little monster, and the first technique I'm going to use is a thumb pot method. So roll your clay around in your hands like this, and with your thumbs, put your thumbs in the center and squeeze down. Turn the clay around, put your thumbs in and squeeze again, and then pinch the sides of your little thumb pot and make sure you can feel the thickness of the clay. You don't want it to be any thicker than 2 centimeters, and about 1 centimeter thick. If you start going thin, as I said, when this dries out, it will it may just break. It may break before it even reaches the kiln. It may break after it's been fired. Okay, so that's the basis of your little pot. Now I'm going to introduce some coiling, and you're going to use this method to help build up the sides. So you're going to make two strips of clay. Now if you can't roll on your tea towel, then just roll it around in your hands. And make one long coil, put that to one side, and then you can do your other one. So roll it around in your hands, and roll it out on your tea towel. If I was to take this tea towel away, I've got a PVC tablecloth, and the clay would probably just stick to that. So the material, the cloth, stops it all from sticking. Now you're going to attach this coil to this pot. Okay, if you want it to be very secure, what you can do, each time you want to join your clay together, just roughen up the surface. And I have also here a little cup of water, and just a dab of water just around the edge. Whatever you do, don't saturate your clay with water, you'll just end up with a really nasty gooey mess. And then attach your coil to that. You can cross hatch, roughen up the surface here again with your fork, Just a little bit of water again. And attach the second coil. So you've now made a thumb pot with coiling. You need to make sure this is really securely attached, otherwise it's going to fall to bits. So put one hand inside the pot to support it and then join the coils together. So making sure everything, if I show that to the camera, everything is really smoothed down. Don't press too hard because you may make the clay thin and it may spread out. You may end up with a plate rather than a pot. Okay, so on the inside you've now got coils as well, and try and smooth these with your thumb. And if you can't, one of your tools that you've collected from the kitchen, you could try and smooth this. Smooth it with the knife just to spread it out. But your hands are actually really good tools. Okay? So keep smoothing it. If you want to make it even, I just tip it upside down and tap it. And then, and if it's beginning to spread out, just grab the two bits of your clay and squeeze it back together. Okay. Now, if your clay goes wrong and you feel like you want to start again, whatever you do, don't fold it in on itself. If you do that, then you're going to trap air in your clay. So I'd try and recover it as much as possible, rather than trying to start again. If you do have to start again, then try and sort of flatten it out and fold it in on itself and smashing it together, banging it together like this, like we did at the beginning, to try and get the clay out. Sorry, the air out. Air expands when it's heated in the kiln, and it's going to cause your work to blow up or have some really nasty cracks in it. So we don't want any air trapped in the clay. Now, if you think this is a bit lumpy and bumpy, you can spend quite a bit of time just smoothing it down. As I said, I've got some water and I've got a sponge, but what I would avoid doing is putting too much water on your pot. Just a tiny bit, the tiniest amount, because it's just going to end up all slippery and slidey on the outside, and you're going to end up with a really gooey mess. So it's, as you work your clay, you're going to find it dries out and it's easier to smooth. Okay, now I'm going to turn this pot, so you could actually stop here if you wanted to. Okay, I'm going to turn this pot into this monster. Okay, so all I need to do is put this pot on its side, and I'm going to squash it down a bit, and the pot opening is going to be the monster's mouth, and I'm going to use the rest of my clay to make some features. Now, my monster has got a tongue, he's got two eyes, and he's got some ears, and he's got some big eyelids here, and he's got some teeth. So if I leave him in shot, so I'm going to start off with the tongue because that's the biggest bit. And so I've broken this clay in two, put one bit to one side, and I'm going to make the tongue. So just roll it around in my hands, and I'm going to flatten it. I don't actually need any tools for this. I'm going to flatten it. Now, you can go a tiny bit thinner than the walls here, because you are going to put this tongue inside the mouth of the monster. I'm going to make the end, the bit that goes at the very back of the mouth, even thinner. Okay, now I'm going to smooth out the tongue, just the tiniest bit of water, smooth it out and make sure it's sort of tongue shaped, and I'm going to attach it inside. Okay, now if I just left it like that and pressed it down, it doesn't actually fall out. It's not falling out, it looks quite secure, but when the clay dries that stickiness will disappear. So I'm going to use my fork, I'm going to cross hatch, roughen up the surface of the two areas I'm going to join. So on the back of the tongue here, okay, I'm going to dab it with a little bit of water on the inside and on the back of the tongue, and the tongue's going to go in. Okay, and I also need to make sure that the tongue is actually secured. So I'm going to use my knife in the kitchen and smooth the two joins together and make sure that they are well and truly joined so nothing falls out. Okay, so there's the tongue. Now to make the tongue look a bit more realistic, I'm going to put this line down the middle. Okay, so just to add a bit of texture. And make it look more realistic. And then bend it a little bit. It's joined at the back, I can bend it and bend it round and make it look like it's coming out of the mouth. Okay, now the next thing I need to do, I think, are the two eyes. So take a piece of clay, depending on how big you want your eyes, roll it around and try and make a round ball. All you need to do is make one round ball. We're going to cut it in half and end up with two eyes. Okay. I'm going to try and make it a bit more, a bit rounder. And then I'm going to cut it in half with my knife, and these eyes will go, one will go here and one will go here. Okay, so again, if I pop them on there, they're not going to fall off, but when it's dry I know it will fall off. So I've worked out where they're going to go. I'm just going to roughen up the surface of the areas I'm going to join. So that's roughened up like that. A little bit of water. And I'm going to pop them on. Again, you will think they are really well joined, but you need to make sure that you've actually got your knife and gone round the whole of the two areas that you want to join, and make sure they are really secure. Okay, and do the second one. Make sure that's attached really well, and to make it look like it's an actual eyeball, I'm going to get my lemon squeezer and just press that in, and he's got two starry irises now. Okay. It's up to you what other features you add. So the ears, give them some ears. So again, roll out some clay going to make it into an oblong shape. I'm going to cut it in half, so each ear is the same size, and then I'm just going to press in with my thumb, and that can be attached there, and that can be attached there, or I can put them at angles. So I'm going to cross hatch the area I'm going to join, and the same on the underneath the ear. A little bit of water, and I'm going to stick it on, and again I'm going to use my kitchen knife to join all the surfaces I'm attaching. Now it will roughen up the head, but you can smooth that down. And I'm going to smooth that down with my sponge. This is just a bit of sponge that I've cut off another piece of sponge. You could use a kitchen sponge if you want to. Do the same with the other one. Make sure it's thoroughly joined. So we've got two eyes, we've got some ears. What else should we add? What have we got on here? We've got some eyebrows. So eyebrows, you're going to go back to your coiling technique. Just roll it. Try and make the thickness even. I'll roll it a bit longer. I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to put that around the eye and take it off, because I need to make sure it's joined securely. So cross hatching the two surfaces I want to join. A little bit of water, and pop it on. It's a bit too long, so I'm going to make that shorter. And then some teeth. You can spend some time with your kitchen tools making sure these are joined securely and they're not going to fall off. But I'm going to go on to teeth. Okay, so he's got some talons here. Okay, so we've definitely got to make sure they're on securely, because they are going downwards. Okay, so if you roll your clay so it gets to a point and then cut it off, and then roll your clay at the end again, don't have it too pointy, because that would be a very thin area and that possibly could break. So use the other one that you made as a measure. So I'm going to tip this guy's head up, and I'm going to just cross hatch the area that you're going to join, and the same on here. A little bit of water, little bit of water and some water on the area I'm going to join. Pop your tooth on. And join it. Pop your tooth on. It's a bit fiddly this, so it's a bit tricky to see. I'll show you after I hold it up to the camera. Make sure it's joined on. Now these teeth are inside the head, so they're going to be protected. They're less vulnerable. Okay, so if you're going to do things like, say you want some arms or tentacles with the rest of your clay, then roll out some clay, and what I would strongly advise against is doing anything that is like that. Okay, so that is going to end up getting knocked and broken. So if you want arms that come up, that come around, and then use the same joining techniques and have things that sort of bend back into the mouth, but do join it properly. So think about making some lovely shapes. So you could have some coming off all sorts of different directions depending on how much clay you've got, to make sure it's joined properly. Now, another way of having some good fun is by thinking about what patterns you can make with the tools that you've got. So perhaps we're going to give the monster some interesting scaly skin. So this is quite a good pointed shape. So you could press in, and this has actually got some stud marks, and I could press into that and give my monster some really horrible skin that makes him a little bit more monsterish. So you could play with some mark making here, and this whisk has got some lovely mark making opportunities on it, so I could press in. Don't know how easily you can see that, and have a little play with all the tools you can find around your house. If you are a child watching this, please ask your parents what's safe to use and what you're actually allowed to use, rather than just grabbing everything from the kitchen drawer, because some things in that kitchen drawer might be a little bit dangerous. And I do like this lemon squeezer. It makes some nice starry shapes, so I'm going to use that on the base. The end of forks are good. You can make some good marks with your fork, and put some marks on his ears. You can draw some lines. I draw some lines into his eyeballs. This, you're going to, your clay model is going to gradually dry out, and as it dries out you'll find that you can keep going back and refining it and smoothing parts down. So, and you can fiddle with it a lot longer than I'm going to do in this workshop. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the sort of things you can achieve using the thumb pot and coiling methods. If you just want to make a simple pot, that's fine. There are also some videos on my website. So if you go to my website, if you go to the Pottery Club page, there are some videos on there as well that you can watch, and it tells you how to make a coil pot, a thumb pot, and a slab pot. And if you've got any questions, do feel free to either message me on Facebook on Messenger, or you can send me your question on my website. There's a page on there for comments. Okay, so just to recap, I used an old tea towel. Don't use a plastic surface, everything will stick. I've just used tools that you can find around your kitchen. Okay, so it's quite interesting what you've got in your kitchen drawers. I've created this little fellow with that. I've used just a tiny bit of water, and I had a sponge. And you don't want to saturate your work with water, otherwise you'll end up with a big sloppy mess. And the thickness of the clay, don't go too thin, because it will become very fragile, and if you go too thick it may explode in the kiln. If you're making something that is hollow, but this is 2 of the thumb pots that I made earlier stuck together, then make sure you've got an air hole in your work. Now what's really important if you are planning to have your work fired is to put your name underneath your work. Okay, so here I've got my initials. Okay, you must put on here whatever you put on your box. So I've got JM on here. So if I was returning this for firing, I would put JM on my box. You can put your creature in your box. So you've got your initials or your name on your pottery, on your box. And then if you make a backs payment, all the payment details are on the form I gave you, or on the Haycraft page on my website. Can you reference that with the same initials you're using, and then I can tie everything up together. Okay, and then there will be a big white clear box outside my house. So if you've collected your clay pack from your school, you need to bring it to me at 67 Hengersby Road in Southbourne on Saturday, next Saturday, by 6 p.m, and then I will dry everything out. It has to be 100% dry to go in the kiln, and I'll have it ready fired for the following Saturday on the 29th for you to pick up. Okay, so your work will be fired and it will be back in the box with your name on it, and please make sure you're taking the right bit of pottery so nobody is disappointed that they've got the wrong bit. Okay, has anybody got any questions that they'd like to type into the comments section, and I can answer them? Okay, this video should end up on my Facebook page, and so if you want to watch it again, you can. I know some people doing this have done my Pottery Club in the past, and I know you've got some really good techniques that you've picked up and made some really good things before. So hopefully you'll be able to create something really fabulous with that. So I'm just going to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this event. It's called Haycraft 2021, and it's part of the Crafts Council celebration of craft that's going on this weekend in association with a mental awareness weekend as well for people, and I hope to repeat this again next year. Questions just popped up. When do we paint, before the kiln or after? So this goes in the this has to be dried out. I put it in the kiln and it fires to over 1,000 degrees centigrade, and you then this has got glaze on it. Okay, it's not paint. And if you want to glaze it, you can buy a glaze pack from me. But if you don't want to glaze it, paint, and you're having it fired, you could just paint this with some acrylic paints or something like that, and then just keep it. So if you want it fired, that would just cost £5, and you could paint it at home. Once it's been bisque fired, that's the first firing, it is permanent. Okay, unless you smash it on the floor accidentally, then it's not going to disintegrate. If you don't have it fired, keep it safe. You can have a go at painting it, but it's not a stable material at all when it's not fired. But you know, you've had a bit of fun, you've learnt some techniques hopefully. If you do want a glaze pack from me, they do start at £12, and that includes the underglaze, the glaze, and the glaze firing. Okay, so thank you, Tracy, for that. Okay, so I hope you've learnt something, and I hope to see some pots returned so we can get them in the kiln. If you have made something today, could you, if you would, send me some images? That would be great. You can send them to me on my using my email, which is info@juliemassey.co.uk, or you can send them to me via Facebook. But if anybody's under the age of 18, could you don't include yourself in the photo for safeguarding reasons. If you do want to be in the photo, perhaps you could hold your pot up in front of your face. Okay, so to give you some privacy. Okay, so thank you very much, and I will see you next year at the next Haycraft event with the Craft Council. Thank you, bye bye.